Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Be a Loser. In this video, we're going to continue our series on T2D and answer the question, what is the best cure for type 2 diabetes? In our previous video, we discussed bariatric surgery and looked at the results of two studies that conclusively showed that these surgeries do in fact cure T2D. In that video, we mostly talked about the Roux-en-Y and its ability to reverse T2D versus traditional medical treatments. As I hope was evident from the description of this surgery, Roux-en-Y is an intense therapy, very effective, but with many possible complications. But even the mildest form of bariatrics, the lap band or gastric band, has shown similar results. Please feel free to rewatch the previous video as a refresher on this. So the obvious question at this point becomes, why do these procedures cure T2D? There are actually many theories, but the most likely is that it is the sudden and massive restriction in food. In other words, after bariatric surgery, you cannot eat as often or as much. If you try to eat too much or too often, you simply vomit everything back up. And with gastric banding, we always have the option of tightening it so that you eat even less food less often. So, if you've watched my other playlists, this will sound very familiar, especially that part, eat less often. That's the entire premise of intermittent fasting. So this means that bariatric surgery is in fact forced fasting, okay? So that means that fasting can cure T2D. And fasting is a natural and ancient practice. It's not nearly as drastic or dangerous as bariatric surgery. Not to mention that you can stop fasting at any time. Not so with most of the surgeries. But wait a second. If fasting cures T2D, then why does almost every medical expert tell you that it's incurable, chronic, and progressive? Well, it must be that this information about fasting and T2D is quite new, right? Sorry, no such luck. In fact, fasting has been known to cure T2D for 100 years. 100 years. In 1916, Dr. Joslin wrote about it in the Canadian Medical Association Journal. There's a link in the description. Dr. Joslin is one of the first diabeticians and was so renowned that Harvard named their world-famous Center for Diabetes after him. Anyone starting to get angry? Yeah? Good. So if one of the most famous diabetes specialists in the world knew about the correlation of fasting and curing T2D, then why are we told that it's incurable? Well, first of all, Dr. Joslin thought that it was so apparent that he didn't need to bother to actually do any studies. And we have to remember that in 1916, there was still a lot of confusion about type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes was pretty uncommon at that time, and fasting wouldn't particularly be of any help to type 1 diabetes. And once insulin was discovered in the early 20s, that became the main focus for a cure. This obviously was a huge achievement for controlling type 1 diabetes, but unfortunately it is not effective for type 2 diabetes. Then as the years passed and pharmaceuticals became more popular, doctors moved towards our more modern day attitude of treating everything with drugs. But we're straying a bit. A study was published in 2013 that compared the results of Roux-en-Y versus the initial fasting period before the surgery. Let me pause a moment to explain that. The individuals that were having these surgeries were morbidly obese, and that could cause complications from surgery. So if you could reduce their weight before the surgery, then that would reduce the risk of complications. All of the patients were put on a fasting regimen before their surgery. And as I said before, the fasting results were compared to the RNY results. This study is also linked in the description. So, what did the results show? That fasting is far superior to surgery for reversing type 2 diabetes. The fasting period resulted in an average weight loss of 7.3 kilograms, roughly 16 pounds, as compared to 4 kilograms, roughly 9 pounds, for the RNY. Additionally, total blood sugars were measured and compared. After fasting, the total blood sugar was down to 1,293 versus 1,478 post-RNY surgery. Pretty obvious that fasting is superior to surgery, I think. Even up against the biggest of all bariatric surgeries, RNY. So our conclusion should be to simply fast and not have surgery. And that has been studied as well. I know it's pretty unbelievable, right? I'm sure most of you have never heard about any of this. Well, this study was conducted during World Wars I and II. Food supplies were limited globally at this time, so doctors used that fact to study mortality rates for T2D. In essence, since people were forced to eat less, then diabetes-related deaths should fall. Remember, forced fasting equals cured diabetes. And that's exactly what happened. During the wars, diabetes-related death rates plummeted. And post-war, when people were back to eating regularly, those same death rates rose once more. This study is also linked in the description. It's astounding, right? All the information that we have contradicting what we've been told for years by our doctors and diabeticians. If you want more recent proof that fasting cures diabetes, then I encourage you to visit Dr. Fung's website, Intensive Dietary Management, where he has numerous posts about patients that have cured their diabetes using the fasting method. And some of them have been diabetics for close to 30 years. But back to the point of this video. If surgery is forced fasting, then why not just fast and forego the surgery? And the answer is that most people don't think they can fast. And most of them have never tried it, ever. But anyone can do it. Just remember that T2D is fully reversible, fully curable, and fasting is the best and safest cure for it. So why wouldn't we all be doing it? Okay, that will do it for this video. I encourage you to watch our intermittent fasting series to familiarize yourself with the method. You can press the little I right over there. Or if you're on a computer, you can also click the link at the end of this video. As always, I encourage you to like our videos and comment on them, and please subscribe to our channel so you're updated to new content. And until our next video, keep being a loser.